It's that time, y'all. Time for Big Boys Boxing.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
Kia ora team, welcome back to Big Boys Boxing. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone's enjoyed their holidays. I know it's pretty grim. A lot of places around the world are in lockdown still. We're pretty lucky here in New Zealand. We have no community COVID. We do have it in the country, but only at quarantine at our borders. So it's business as usual here. I've been spending a lot of time with the family, a lot of time at the beach. So haven't been active on YouTube. There hasn't been a lot happening anyway, but you may have seen me around in a few comment sections here and there. But yeah, I'm backish. We've got a bit of boxing news. Got a couple of good fights coming up. Well, interesting fights anyway. Firstly, we've got, it looks like finally, Trevor Bryan and Manuel Charr are going to get it on to dissolve one of those WBA titles. Trevor Bryan has that WBA interim title, and Manuel Charr has the WBA regular title. Neither of those guys have had to defend their title since they've won them, which is pretty shitty from the WBA. But finally, one of them's going to disappear at least, and possibly the winner may be the next WBA mandatory for Anthony Joshua, or whoever's holding the belts at the time. So should be interesting. I think Trevor Bryan's probably going to win that one. He's a much better boxer. Manuel Charr's getting long in the tooth and hasn't been active for more than a couple of years, so it is what it is. We also have the Enigma. Christopher Lovejoy is finally going to get in the ring on TV so we can see what he's all about. He's going to be fighting Bermain Stavern, both Don King fighters. So yeah, we'll get to see what Christopher Lovejoy is all about, and we'll get to see how washed Bermain Stavern is these days. I think that's happening on the 27th of January or somewhere there. So it'll be interesting. Looking forward to those couple of fights. And of course, in February we've got the local derby down here in New Zealand of Joseph Parker taking on Junior Farr. Both boys have had surgery. Joseph has had bone fragments removed once again from both elbows since he got the chance. And Junior Farr has had surgery for his undisclosed health condition. Built-in excuse for me, but it is what it is. Kind of looking forward to that fight too. But yeah, not a hell of a lot else happening with the heavyweights at the moment. Now, some current news, and I'll leave an article in the description for this. Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has come out and said that Olexander Uayk and his team are being greedy with their demands for step aside for Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury to happen for undisputed. Now, I think Eddie Hearn's been an idiot. He's saying what he's saying to try and push the asking price of the step aside down, when in all reality, and I've knew it all along, that Olexander Uayk isn't going to step aside unless it's crazy, stupid money. And I can't blame him. I mean, he's been sitting on that mandatory position for over 18 months now. He's consistently said that he's not going to step aside for anything. The WBO have said no more exemptions. They've already made two. One for the Andy Ruiz rematch, that was a special exemption, and then another special exemption for Kubrat Pulev, the IBF mandatory, to go first, which I thought was interesting because the WBO hasn't had a mandatory fight since Joseph Parker fought Hughie Fury back in 2017, and there has been another mandatory after that in Carlos Takam when Kubrat Pulev pulled out with an injury the first time when he ripped his titty muscle, he says. So the IBF effectively have had two mandatories before the WBO have had one. So I can understand the WBO's position. I don't buy this crap that Eddie Hearn's spouting about, well, if the WBO doesn't want to be involved in Undisputed, then we'll drop the belt. That's a hollow threat. Everybody knows that Anthony Joshua is all about the belts. It's the legacy. He wanted to be undisputed. Now, the reason Olexander Usyk is going to be asking stupid step-aside money is because he'd be risking his biggest payday of his career. Don't quote me, but I think the WBO's mandatory split is 60-40. So the mandatory challenger gets 40% of the purse. This is if it goes to purse bid. And I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk's team didn't push to go to purse bid so they can get this 40%. Because realistically, there's no way Eddie Hearn's going to offer Olexander Usyk 40% of the cut, is there? So, just for instance, if we said the fight between Usyk and Joshua would be worth $40 million, right? Because Anthony Joshua does draw huge money. That would put Usyk at what, $15 to $17 million? That's pretty massive. Now, if he stepped aside for a smaller amount of money, say $1 million, alright? He let that fight go ahead for Undisputed, and Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua, the purse goes down considerably. I think it'd be lucky to be a $20 million purse, in which case Usyk would be looking at what, $5 to $7 million instead of 15 to 17. Hey, so is that just good business sense, or is that being greedy to ask stupid money? I think Usyk could be asking at least $10 million to step aside. It is huge money. But if he let it go for $1 million, he could possibly lose around $10 million if Anthony Joshua doesn't beat Tyson Fury. And never mind the fact that if Anthony Joshua does beat Tyson Fury, there's still going to be a rematch clause. So Joshua would still have to drop the WBO belt anyway, and Usyk would be fighting either Joe Joyce or Joseph Parker probably for the vacant WBO belt. And what's that fight going to be worth? It's not even going to be worth $10 million. So it's just good business from Usyk and his team, in my opinion. Now, before anybody says, oh, but Usyk is a Matchroom fighter, as far as I know, he's not a Matchroom fighter anymore. He was only ever co-promoted by Matchroom, Matchroom, and that was on a 3-fight deal, starting with Tony Bellew. So, first was Tony Bellew, the first fight. Second fight was, who was that powder puff he fought? The American guy. Spoon, what's his name? Chaz Witherspoon, that's his name. He fought Chaz Witherspoon, and then he fought Derek Chisora. That's 3 fights. That's the end of the contract. And I have not seen any news that he's re-signed. So he's back under his primary promoter, K2 Promotions, which is Vladimir Klitschko's promotional company. So as far as I'm aware, there are no promotional ties anymore. But anyways, the way I see it, now don't get me wrong here, I do want to see Undisputed, but I don't want to see these guys fight for Undisputed and then have to give up a belt straight away. What's the point in that? Just so you could say you were Undisputed for a minute. What I'd like to see is Anthony Joshua face Olexander Usyk. Get that WBO mandatory taken care of, and he's free and clear after that. There are no other mandatories determined at present. The WBA has last been taken care of with Joshua versus Povetkin. There hasn't been another new mandatory appointed yet, and like I said earlier, maybe the winner of Trevor Bryan and Manuel Charr may become the mandatory for the super title. The WBA, it makes sense to me to do it like that, but you know, sanctioning bodies don't always use common sense. The IBF has just been taken care of with Kubrat Pulev, and that's it for Joshua. There's only the WBO left. The other reason why I think Joshua should face Usyk and get that out of the way is because it looks like Deontay Wilder's won his mediation with Tyson Fury, and it looks like they're going to fight their third fight anyway. So in the meantime, that gives Joshua the time to take care of his obligations. Not only that, is if both of these guys get all their stuff out of the way and they do fight for Undisputed, they can have their rematch or a trilogy without mandatories getting in the way. They can defend their titles and better their legacy. If Usyk steps aside, whoever wins, the WBO is going to have to be dropped straight away anyway, because they're going to have a rematch or a trilogy, so they can't fulfill the WBO mandatory anyway. So, man, yeah, like I said, I want to see Undisputed, but I don't want to see it just for a minute. I want to see guys to be able to defend the Undisputed status and improve their legacy. And that's the way I want to see it. But we don't always get what we wish for, right? So let us know what you think of the situation. How would you like to see it happen? Do you want to see Usyk step aside so either Joshua or Fury can be Undisputed for a minute? Or do you want to see them, you know, Wilder face Fury, get that out of the way, Joshua face Usyk, get that out of the way, and see Undisputed defendable for legacy purposes? Let us know. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Jono from Big Boys Boxing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy. Peace out.
Subscribe to Kiwi Box.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Good luck, brother.